Hey guys, so in that last video I was tuning my guitar and a string broke, which is something that happens. It'll definitely happen to you one day. Not a big deal. When it happens, you gotta buy some new strings if you don't have any. So go to your local music store and get some strings. The one thing that you want to make sure you do when you get strings is you know what size of strings to get. On my guitar and on acoustic guitars, they tend to be a little thicker, and you can tell because the G string is wound. So there's a little string around it. It looks like a thinner version of your E, A, and D string. And this is a 12 gauge string. So I had to go get what they call, if you were to go to the music store and you were not sure what to say, and you said, hey, I need some strings and I need 12s or a size gauge 12 strings, they would show you the pack of strings that are in that range. However, if you're playing an electric guitar that's like your typical electric guitar, those strings tend to be lighter gauged, which is 10s or 9s. But like I said, my strings were a size 12. You can see actually what I have here is two different kinds of strings. I like to use Diodario's. The orange ones are my 10s for an electric guitar, and these ones, these nickel wound jazz light gauge, these are my 12s. And it says up here in the corner, wound third. That's that third string we were talking about, the G string. I like a size 12 string or gauge 12 with a wound G string because I just prefer that. So I'm going to show you how to put these strings on the proper way. There's a lot of ways that people do it, but I think that there is one way that is best, and I will show you how to do that. Hey guys, so I'm going to show you how to restring your guitar. I just broke a string. I put it back on, but after I break a string, I like to replace all of them. I'm going to show you how to replace another string. I'm going to take the G string off my guitar and put a new one on. And I'm going to show you what I think is the best way. Alright, so check this out. First we're going to do is we're going to loosen it. I like to hit the string. Make sure that you're tuning it the right way. So I'm just going to loosen this until I can take it and pull it out from underneath. So once I can unhook it from down here, I can go to this side and unravel it. Once I do that, I like to take this and make a couple loops and then wrap this one so it stays in place. So with the Diodarios, they're color coordinated. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the same color string that I just took off. This is my G string, it's green. So I'm gonna take the green one and replace it. And this green little ball is what we're gonna use to put back in the saddle back here. So go ahead and take that green ball, and in your guitar, if you have to go from behind the guitar and underneath, or if you have an acoustic guitar, you have a peg right here, you would take this peg out when you're replacing your string after it's loose, and you'd stick this ball inside there and put that peg to keep that string in place. This one sits inside like a little saddle inside here. I'm gonna make sure it goes over the right little spot in the bridge. Follow it up to where my tuning peg is, Now, one of the things I like to make sure is that this tuning peg is looking up the guitar neck. So I turn it so that I don't have to enter the string from the side, I can just go straight. So I'm gonna put this string right through. Now when you do this, you wanna make sure that it's still in the same place on the other end. And you're gonna pull it, and you're gonna start to tune it. You're gonna start to tighten it. Now, I like to tighten it so that my strings wrap when it's on the right side of my headstock. I want them to wrap clockwise. So I have to turn it so that I watch the strings start to make this little S. It starts to bend from one side to the other. And when the string hole or the tuning peg hole is actually perpendicular to the guitar stock, and my string looks bent like that, I'm going to take this extra piece of string and I'm going to bend it in the counterclockwise direction. So the opposite direction the string is coiling. I'm going to bend it the opposite direction the string is turning around the peg. So this direction, because the string is wrapping this way. So counterclockwise. I'm going to take this extra piece of slack. I'm going to point it under the string and I'm going to pull it tight like that. Once I do that, I'm going to bend the string around and I'm going to crimp it against the string. So now what it looks like is like this. Let me zoom in here. It's crimped. Now we're going to continue to tighten the string by turning the string, or we're turning our tuning peg clockwise. That's tightening it. Now the string is out of tune, so we're going to use the 5th fret of the D string to get a sound. So by hitting this D string, you can hear that the G is lower. We want it to be the same. Getting closer, closer, a little closer. So the reason we did it this way, as compared to just wrapping the string a bunch of times around this tuning peg, is because we don't want to have a bunch of slack on the guitar peg. We don't want to have a bunch of extra string on there, because having a bunch of extra string around the guitar peg is what will make your strings go out of tune easier, because as you tighten the string, it pulls that slack out and your string gets loose. So having just a little bit of string around your peg, I think, is the best. And the way to do that is by using the pressure the string is creating around this peg to hold itself in place. So that's the way I like to tune my guitar and restring it. With this extra piece of string, you can wrap it around like I did here, or you can take some wire cutters and just clip them right at the end. But yeah, this is how I tune my guitar. After you've replaced all your strings, another thing that you can do that I recommend is to go through and give it a little pull to kind of make sure that the string kind of stretches out, because once you put new strings on, they need to be pulled a little bit to kind of stretch themselves and get used to the new tension that they're under. There's a couple ways to do it. You can kind of do it from the side and go around, from the bottom to the end, and do that to each one. You'll notice that by doing so, when you go to retune, if you've tuned your guitar and you go to tune your guitar again, you'll notice that your strings are all out of tune. Be gentle, because you can break a string doing it, but you're just trying to put a little tension on it. So yeah, I've pulled my guitar out of tune. The other way that I like to tune my guitar is by playing the two adjacent strings next to each other. You get this hollow sound. if it's not quite in tune. You can kind of hear it. So you can hear that there's a wobble. And then that wobble kind of goes away by tuning the adjacent string. So let's see how I did here. Now the next thing I recommend is using a tuner. So the way that a tuner works is that when you play a string, it's gonna show you the note that that string is. Now when we go back, the low E string, this is our low E, so when we play E, you're gonna see that this little triangle is right below or behind on the right side, or excuse me, the left side of the letter, which means that it's a little flat. So I'm gonna tighten it. Just slightly. A string, it's a little below. That's where we want it to be. So, while you can use the 5th fret to tune your guitar, that will only tune the guitar to itself. If you want to make sure that the notes are actually the pitch that they're supposed to be, it's best to use a tuner unless you have perfect pitch or you've tuned your guitar a lot of times and you can kind of get really close to what that is. And then you make sure that the notes are in the right key. Alright guys, now let's check out some chords. Here we go.